Oh, hang on a minute. I didn't know you were there. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Continuing on with the floor pans in this 57 Chevy. It's a new day and a new issue. So let me show you what I run into. First off, no big deal here. I made these patches that are going here, one for each side. They'll be stitched weld across the top, plug welded on the rocker panel. So I got both of those made, no problem there. But in a previous video, I was talking about how I measured the overall width on this car. So when I put this cross member in, it doesn't want to spread the rockers out or pull them in. And I was completely wrong with that. Let me show you. Now on any new car, for the last probably 40 years, your inner rocker panel comes from the bottom of the rocker up to the top. Well, not the case with this 57. Once this is in, and if you line the pinch weld up on the bottom, the top of this flange will actually slide inside that rocker panel. So what it's meant to do, the floor comes over, it welds through the top of this inner rocker, and then it's got a flange that comes up that gets spot welded onto here. So the issue is, where is this supposed to go? Because it's had new rocker panels put on it, and I think they were sectioned over the old ones in the front and back here. So my width isn't 100% perfect. It's different everywhere you measure. It's different from side to side. And I didn't want to just spot weld it onto the bottom and then worry about trying to get it to fit. So when this comes in, when this cross member gets pushed in here, it doesn't really affect the width on this, because this panel could either go inside the rocker or it could come away from it. What dictates the width is the floor itself. So that's not going to be an issue, but the problem is this has to be put in first, the bottom has to be plug welded, but then you have a chance of this thing going inside the rocker panel and not being able to get it back out where you need it. So let me show you, let me get a close up and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This inner rocker panel, if it gets welded to the bottom down here, it doesn't come all the way up and catch the top of the outer rocker panel. It could actually get tipped in, and this doesn't really change if I'm just kind of holding this support in. You can get a little bit of variance out of that. So I'll show you what I did. I made 8 of these little brackets here out of scrap metal, and these will go onto here, and I'll plug weld that there, plug weld the bottom. Now this, I'll have to bend each one a little bit to fit the contour of this rocker because it's not perfectly straight, but that's what they're going to do. This bracket is the correct width where this bottom flange and top flange are supposed to be. So I can squeeze that together, clamp it in place, and weld them in, and I'll have 4 of them on each side. And I'll show you how I come up with this. I took the inner rocker, I clamped it to the floor where it's supposed to be, and then I made these brackets to fit that dimension right there, that width. So once I weld these in to the outer rocker before all this stuff goes in, that'll hold the width of the rocker panel, or the thickness from top to bottom, and it'll also keep this inner rocker panel from sliding in where I can't get it to pull it out. So I've been messing with this for a couple hours trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and this looks to be about the best solution here. So I'm going to start welding these brackets in, and we'll go from there. All right, that seemed to work out good. got these welded in. Now, when I put my inner rocker in, it works out nice because it's something actually solid it rests against. And I'll line up this front edge and the back edge, clamp it in place. I know I'll have a nice straight edge now with this rocker. The top, the bottom will be pretty good shape. So next up, I'm going to put my patch in here. That has to go in first, and then I'll get this in. I've got the right side all welded up, those 4 tabs and that inner rocker that I made. Now you can see the issue right here. This is the correct length for the floor and the inner rocker, but this is where it ends up. This outer rocker was put on and I could see the overlap here, so I'll end up probably putting a jack on the bottom of the rocker panel, push this up, and a clamp up here to help it, but I need to get that squeezed together. All right, I've got these patches welded in here, all these brackets, these little spacers, both sides. Now, here's the next issue I'm dealing with. I don't want to just take and weld this thing in, as it would spot weld across the bottom here, because with these rockers being replaced and everything is kind of wavy and uneven, I don't want to put these in and then by the time I build all my supports and my floor, I find out it's in the wrong spot. So let me show you what I'm doing. What I'm doing is mocking up all the pieces for the floor. This is a seat support here, that's a separate piece. All these supports here are separate. I've got my inner rocker. There's holes in here so I can line everything up. So I've got this piece temporarily bolted in. I can fit all these supports in here where everything goes, everything kind of lines up pretty nice. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pre-drill the ends to put a screw in from the support to the inner rocker. I'll do all of them and make some marks on the floor, trace these out. So when I put this in the car first, I can't weld this together like this, it won't fit in. I've got to put it in piece at a time. So once I got everything ready to fit in there, I can just clamp my inner rocker panel in, then I can put this center support in, and once I know it's sitting on the mounts where it's supposed to be, my screw holes should all line up. If they don't, I've got to make everything on the car fit so this floor goes in right. If I try and put it in piece at a time without pre-fitting or mocking anything up, nothing is going to line up. So I think this is the best way to go. So what I'm going to do, just put some paint marks on everything here. That'll give me a guide. All right, then I'm going to get my drill some holes through these end flanges on these supports here. Go through the inner rocker panel. Like I said, so when I put everything in the car, these holes should line up. I can put screws or clecos in there and everything's supposed to fit. The floor will fit together nice that way, and then I just have to mess around with those rocker panels to get everything tweaked into place. Okay, the small brace here, I can actually weld that to my inner rocker panel ahead of time because it doesn't sit on a body mount and the floor will drop on top of it. But all of these supports I'll get these holes pre-drilled in here. I have the weld-through primer on everything I need, so when I go to put it together, everything should go in nice. I'm hoping. We'll see. Let me show you what I'm dealing with. I finally can put in a couple of pieces. Everything has just been a fight to get in here and get lined up. Nothing is straight with the rockers. They've been replaced. The quarters have been repaired before, so there's really nothing straight to go off of. So like I showed earlier, I mocked up the floor, the inner rocker, these braces. I've got screws in here. This one's welded in already. This one is just sitting here. What I had to do at one time, somebody put headers on this car and they burned the frame mounts off the perches here for this to bolt to. So we made up these angle iron brackets. I've got them tacked on there. I did a bunch of measuring. There was just a little bit of the original one that I could get a measurement off of. So those will fit in there. But the issue is going to be I can't put the rubber mounts in while I'm working on it because the new ones are thicker and it puts pressure on everything. So I'm going to build everything. I think I've got the inner where it's supposed to be. It's clamped. I'm going to start welding on that. And then I'll have to take this off, mock up the other side. But I think I can finally start welding this together. And then I'll just have to pick up, I can loosen up some body mounts in the front and in the rear of the car. There's another body mount right here under the cowl. The only way to get to it is to pull the fenders off. So I don't think that's going to happen. So it's going to be a fight to get those squeezed in here. But I'm making progress. It's slow. I'm going to do a little welding on this side, pull this out, get the other side of the floor mocked up, and continue on. All right, I got both inner rocker panels clamped into place. The center support is screwed in temporarily. Once these inner rockers are welded in, I'll probably take this back out. I've got to build that rear cross member. Actually, I was saving the center and I took it out so I can get it cleaned up, get everything to fit, and then I got to splice the new ends on it. So hopefully that'll be put in tomorrow. So I'm going to start welding on here. I think that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching.